Hi there, it's Nicole Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing this clear embossed resist slimline card featuring the Simon Says Stamp August card kit of the month. We're going to be creating this darling little slim barbecue card using some really fun clear embossed resist. So we're going to be stamping the sunshine, sentiments with colorful inks and then stamping on top of those with a clear embossing ink and embossing with clear embossing powder, which is going to set those colors of ink and allow us to stencil over the top. This is one of my favorite techniques for no masking. So if you're like me and don't particularly love fussy cutting masks, this is a great option. We're going to stamp the sunshine from the Hello Sunshine 6x8 stamp set included in the kit and also available for individual purchase on a slimline card base. I did start with a much bigger card base than what I'm actually going to end up with. This is 3.5 inches by 8.5, and I'm stamping my sunshine with Simon Says Stamp Sunshine ink. After I have stamped the sun, I am not going to remove the paper. I'm not going to remove the stamp. I am going to clean the colorful ink off my stamp, and then I'm going to ink it up with a clear embossing ink. We're using the Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink today, and I'm probably going to stamp this 1 or 2 times. I want to make sure I have really good coverage. This is not a huge image, but it's not super small either. And then I'm going to take my clear embossing powder, sprinkle this on top, and you can see how it's sticking right to that stamped image. And I'm going to heat emboss this then to make it color fast. That way, when I stencil over the top, I'm not going to lose the beautiful, vibrant yellow rays, and it'll appear that the stenciling is back behind these images. The key to this, I feel like, is working nice and slow. Now, I will say I ended up having to start over, which was such a huge bummer, because I get to the next image, which is my large sentiment that says, "Been there, sun that," and I picked the wrong color for red. I accidentally picked up the wrong ink pad, and it was just way too dark. I didn't like the color. So luckily I wasn't that far into the card, and I was easily able to redo that. So partway through my stamping and inking of this sentiment, you're going to notice that the sunshine disappears because I went ahead and left my sentiment stamp in my MISTI and re-stamped all of that, and then I'll go back and stamp the sunshine again. I opted to do some nice rainbow effect color and mask off parts of the sentiment so that each line of the sentiment, including that little spacer bar there, is a different color of ink. So the word "been" is in some green or green apple, I guess, ink. Then Audrey blue for the word "there." I'm just using Post-its to mask it off. I found this works really easy because they cover the area easily and they remove from the stamp super easy. Then the little bar is going to be some, I believe that is Blue Jay ink, so a little bit darker blue. And I really pulled the colors from the Doodlebug papers included in the card kit for August, which I absolutely love. I'm going to feature some of those on my card as well. Then the word "sun" is going to be inked with watermelon ink. The original color, I'm thinking I used Schoolhouse Red, and it was just so deep and dark and didn't give me the effect that I wanted at all. So I actually used watermelon, which has a little bit more of a pinky tone to it, which worked very nicely. And then we're going to finish with orange slush. And I love this multicolored sentiment. Pretty much each section I stamped twice to make sure that I had super good coverage. And we have one more row for this sentiment before we can move on to the rest of, I'm going to use another little phrase and then a heart, and then we're going to stamp some other images from the other stamp set included in the kit. So there is that orange slush. And then once we've done this, we're going to clean the stamp really well again. We're going to ink it up with the clear embossing ink, heat emboss with the clear embossing powder, and that is going to heat set the sun rays and our multicolored sentiment. You can see that clear embossing powder stick to where I've stamped. We'll just heat set that really quick, and off camera I will go ahead and restamp those sun rays up above. Now I could have waited till after I'm completely done putting my card together to do the next step, but I went ahead and stamped this phrase with a black dye ink and then Versamark ink and heat embossed with the clear embossing powder. That way it's all the same. It's all going to have that nice little kind of glossy raised look to it. It's very, very light raised, embossing, but I really wanted it to be consistent, and I also don't want to ink over just plain black ink in case it would bleed anywhere or smear. So I just went ahead and did the whole thing the same with this clear embossed resist. So that was a little black ink, clean the stamp it again with Versamark, add a little clear embossing powder, and then we've got this cute little heart from Hello Sunshine. We're going to stamp that with watermelon ink and heat emboss with the clear embossing powder after we have stamped it with the clear embossing ink. And that is going to be it for our awesome embossed resist. Now, honestly, this on its own, I think on a card base, a standard size card base would be super, super cute. I love the really graphic nature of this. Such a fun technique. But I decided to go ahead and finish it off with a little scene and use the Summertime Barbecue mini stamp set, as I didn't get a chance to use it with my other two cards I created with this kit. And so we are just going to go ahead and stamp the barbecue grill, some ants, food, other accessory images, all kinds of fun things down here along the bottom edge. But I want to make sure I'm using an ink for Copic coloring. So I'm going to use the Hero Arts Intensified Black ink to stamp my images. And again, I am not going to do any masking. I already know that I want to use some of the pattern paper from the kit to create my grassy border. So it looks like the grill's kind of tucked out down there in the lawn. Pardon me, I can't talk. And then I'm going to stamp some little ants that are carrying off their food and all that fun stuff. So we're going to have a little ant right here up on the barbecue grill, and then the rest are going to be down below. So much fun. I just think this is a really, really fun little stamp set that can be used in conjunction with the Hello Sunshine. And then we just want to add several ants here. All the good stuff. Finish building the scene before we move on to some simple coloring. And I did really speedy coloring today. Came together really fast. So this little guy is going to be carrying like a little turkey leg, it looks like, or a chicken leg. Then I'm going to have another ant on the other side carrying a grill tool with a hot dog speared on it. So we're gonna stamp another ant. I did stamp one additional ant over on the right side. Most of him got trimmed off because I am going to trim this to 2 inches wide. That's about as wide as the sun ray is up at the top. But I want to do all of my stamping. I want to do all of my stenciling, and then I will trim this down and I'll show you how I decorated the edge of my card when we get there. Just a little bit more stamping to do. This is a really stamp heavy design with just very, very minimal die cutting, just that little border there, and then some fun accents with pattern paper strips. So we just about have it all, and then we're going to take that same Audrey blue ink that we used for part of the colorful sentiment and a blender brush. And we're going to stencil some clouds all over this background. And we're going to do that with the Clouds 4 Days stencil, which is a great stencil for creating some nice cloudy little borders all over the design. And this is where that clear embossed resist comes into play. So if I was just stamping this with colorful ink, stenciling over the top, you're gonna get those blue lines through the sun rays, through the letters. Or if you stencil it first and then stamp, same thing. You're gonna have a distortion in those images. And I was really going for a completely resisted type of look up high. So it looks like the stenciling was done first and the stamping was done on top. It's seamless. You're not going to see the lines of the stencil, and that's where the magic of the clear embossing comes into play. I'm working my way gradually up my panel with the Audrey blue ink, trying to kind of keep it fairly light down near the grill where I'm actually going to color. And then when I get up here, I don't have to worry quite so much because I'm going to buff away any ink that's sitting on top of the clear embossing once I'm done stenciling this. When I remove the stencil, you're going to be able to see it. Right now, you can definitely see that blue ink on top of all the color. But when I buff it away, it is going to be like magic. Let's grab a microfiber cloth. Get rid of any of that excess ink. And look how awesome that sun ray and sentiment looks on my card. Next, we're going to grab some Copic markers. Oh, actually, I'm going to trim this down first. I didn't want to color anything that might be hanging off the edge. So we're just going to go kind of down each side with our paper trimmer and trim this down. And then we'll take our Copic markers and color in our images. So super quick and easy. Cute little slimline strip. I'm using R24, 29, and 56 to color in my grill. The red portions of my grill, I guess I should say. We're going to use C6 and C8 for anything that is gray, with a little C9 for the wheel on the grill. The rest of our colors are going to be for hot dogs, hamburgers, turkey legs, and the grilling tool. Starting with E08 and E09 for hot dogs. I think I use those same colors for the little turkey leg as well. Keep it really easy that way. And I felt like my grill needed a little bit more blending, so I went back over that a couple times. Go ahead and do the handle of our grill. Our grill fork, I decided to pull in a little bit lighter cool gray with C4 and then C6 as my darkening shading color. E08 and E09 for hot dogs and the turkey leg. We'll use a little E81 for the bone. E55 and 57 for the hamburger. And then I noticed I missed a little spot on the grill, so let's grab a little color there, and B34 and 37 for the handle of our grill tool to pull in just another color from the pattern papers, from the sentiment, just to kind of have it all go together. Then I am going to die cut this Grassy Edges die from some of the Doodlebug barbecued paper and adhere it along the bottom edge of our strip. And that is going to finish off our little skinny scene perfectly. We're going to trim off any of this excess. And then I felt like this strip needed to be matted before being placed on my card base. So this card base measures 3.5 by 8.5 inches. I mounted this strip on some black cardstock. And then we are going to go ahead and take all of these little strips. So one of the 6x6 pattern papers from the barbecued stamp set, or pardon me, pattern paper has all of these great strips, and I cut a bunch of them apart, and we're going to tuck them along the sides of our skinny panel. Some of them I'm going to trim down to a little bit smaller, some I'm going to leave a little bit longer. Adds a nice fun little touch of color. Some of them have text strips. Just anything I can do to add a fun little touch here and there. Some I even cut at an angle. I love how these turned out. I love being able to add just these little tiny touches of pattern paper, the little teeny tiny hearts, the little diagonal stripes, the little picnic plaid, and then we've got a little good times text and fire up the grill text, because I felt like those went with our card theme really, really nicely. I used a combination of double-sided adhesive and liquid adhesive, just kind of depending on how wide the strips were, because that double-sided adhesive is 1/8 of an inch wide. It's the skinniest I have. So if I felt like my strip was too small, I would use the double-sided or liquid adhesive rather than double-sided adhesive. Add just a couple more little pieces. I played around with all the different strips quite a bit, trying to get the color combination that I liked best. So we'll finish with this little fire up the grill. And that will finish up our clear embossed resist slimline card featuring components from the Simon Says Stamp August 2020 card kit of the month. The supplies I used to complete my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Simon Says Stamp card kits that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.